Baccano is one of the best animes on the face of the earth. I realize this is a bold statement with the golden age nostalgia fanboys on the one hand, and the beautiful animation of the current generation on the other, but listen up. Baccano is great because it takes the techniques and style from anime and early American film, and makes a wonderfully cohesive and immersive barrel of undiluted fun and intrigue.
Better have the extra foam this time.
Anyway, let's talk about the story, because there is a lot of it. The show starts off with Pitmaster McGentleman over here, an assistant, setting up the three main stories that will be told throughout the entire show while casually revealing that mortals exist, and our main plot point to the whole show, and a bunch of shit goes down. There's a storyline where a bunch of people are looking for some liquor that gives immortality while the Mafia holds a super secret party that everyone's invited to. There's a story taking place on the Flying Pussyfoot where a band of street thugs have to band together to save a train from every psychopath in America. Yes. And the story of a rich white girl trying to find her missing brother while the Mafia is trying to hunt him down. Now, how are these three stories connected? Well, both in no way whatsoever, and deeply saturated in the story like syrup on pancakes. Because you see, all three stories are told at the same time, and out of chronological order. Now, this is nothing new to storytelling. Almost everyone nowadays will use this method to explain the plot in a flashback, or make a suspenseful cliffhanger using a flash forward.
He's dead. He's straight up dead.
Sorry, it was about to be Christmas. We didn't have the time to write the first two acts. Yesterday!
But it is never really used as a primary format of the story. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I am not a fan of flashbacks in a story's main plot. It's just something lazy writers use to explain away plot holes and details they forgot to properly explain or address. However, since this is used for the entire story, this is not an apparent issue. It's clear that there was a lot of thought put into the structure. Every time the show transitions to a different story, it feels natural and they build off of the previous scene brilliantly. The story spoils a lot of the plot details early on, but because of the way the story is constructed, you will either not recognize it or not care, because rather than focusing on the end result, the story has you focus on everything in between. Now, although by a small margin, the story focuses more on the Soren clan backstory, then the party, and then Pumpkin Spice Basic. I want to make this clear how different this is, because unlike Batman and Superman, Baccano has to tell a completely standalone story. Well, stories. The show really captures the ambiance in the 1930s, with the detail put into the city to the colors used in every room. The world feels alive despite seeing so little of it. Small bits of information are told from exposition, but it works due to the nature of the world set up in the story. This is really taken advantage of in the cinematography, which is in turn very reminiscent of old American movies. From the pans to the wide sweeps to the way the characters move really feels like a mesh of old American style mystery thrillers with a dash of Jackie Chan. Along with the jazzy swing music that is used in sync with the action, Baccano really comes across as a show where every single aspect of the show was taken into account for its adaptation. I recommend you watch Baccano in English. Not because the Japanese version is bad, but let's be honest. Some of the characters' names were totally chosen so the Japanese voice actors would have an easier time pronouncing them. The accents the English voice actors incorporate, along with just how dynamic the cast is, just takes it a couple steps above their Japanese counterparts. So yeah, dub haters, shut up. Now you remember a couple paragraphs ago when I mentioned that there were immortals in this show? Yeah, there are immortals in this show. So let's just get this out in the open. Immortal characters are boring. When your characters are either purely immortal, or so powerful, or clairvoyant, or some other plot armor that makes them invincible, it becomes boring and a chore to watch, because you know nothing interesting is going to happen. Now, Baccano, on the other hand, has plenty of immortals. Chock full of them, in fact. Plays an important role in the plot, but not in the way you would think. You see, immortals can't die, but they can be devoured by other mortals. Their bodies and minds becoming one with their perpetrator. So the immortals come off as just as vulnerable as any normie. The show does a great job of highlighting how human the immortals are. Because you know how these stories with immortals go. Immortals are typically more detached and willing to do things other people wouldn't, because they just don't have the restraint any longer. But they are portrayed as equals to the other characters, which is refreshing. Which is good, since the characters are what make the show. They are characters of their time without being caricatures of their time, if you catch my drift. They have a bit more nuance than the show initially lets on, making a lot of them less pure good or bad, and turning them into some of the most charismatic misfits this side of the Western Hemisphere. Lad Russo is a crazy killer, but his motivations and background say so much about his character, than just being your everyday psychopath.
It sounds bad. Danger, danger. What's happening in the dining car? Is there blood? Who's killing who? Where did they get shot? I have to see.
Luck Gandor's cool charm makes his serious, calculated speeches all the more powerful.
Thy soul shall find itself alone, mid dark thoughts of the great tombstone. Not one of all the crowd to pry into thine hour of secrecy. Be silent in thy solitude, which is not loneliness, for then the spirits of the dead who stood in life before me are again.
I could probably make an entirely different video series analyzing these characters, but all of you probably have somewhere to be, so I'll make this simple. My general rule of thumb for a good character is, if I had a chance to have a conversation with this person, would I? You could name any character from Baccano, and I would always answer yes. All their personalities are so infectious that I get giddy whenever one of them opens their mouths. Now, this show is a little gory. Okay, it's very gory, but it never comes across as exploitative and unnecessary. It comes across more along the lines as incredibly visceral practical effects, continuing with the film comparisons. And I feel it jives really well with some of the symbolism of the show. I've watched this show plenty of times, including with friends and my mom and grandma. My mom liked the show, but was a little put off by the blood. And my grandma was a straight up badass and was into it all the way through. So, Baccano is so good that you'll be wanting more of it despite how succinctly it ties itself together. Thankfully, it's the show's overarching theme, and not lazy writing that leaves it open to more. And in a perfect world, that would be the only acceptable reason for a sequel. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Now go out there and have a lovely day, you nerd.